Hello out there in internet land. Here we are for another installment of Talking With, and I'm Ricky Ritzel. The last one we did was Christine Zabornik, which got a lot of good response from that. And we focused on cabaret and theater and as a working performer. Today I'd like to address another part of cabaret, which is the people that own them and book them, but usually the owners I would like, because you never know who owns a cabaret sometimes. You may know the booking manager, you may know the people that front. I mean, in the 30s it was a lot of shall we say, not legitimate money that went behind the cabarets and piano bars. And I mean, I've been working in these in New York for over 30 years in piano bars and cabarets, and I've worked for really good people, and I've worked for the absolute dregs of society, and the fewer, the good people are getting fewer and far between. Lately, in the past 10 years, I've noticed some owners of piano bars that want to open a piano bar that have no right. They couldn't open a hot dog stand. They shouldn't open a hot dog stand. Because I think they're in it for the money. They see there's money to be made. What do you think it is? But the good owners from the 20s on, their first love, sure they wanted to make money, but it was the love of cabaret and piano bar that made them do it first, rather than, oh, there's a money-making scheme here, it doesn't matter. You know, the quality was what mattered. And sure, you had to make money. But that leads into my guest today, who is, I consider, and I'm sure most of the cabaret community consider, an icon in New York cabaret, because she's one of the good club owners I'm talking about. And her history is basically the history of cabaret in New York for the last part of the 20th century. And she's only 29 years old. This is Jan Wallman. Hello, Jan.
Hi, Ricky.
I'm so glad you're able to make it up here. Oh, by the way, we are at Brandy's Piano Bar up on the Upper East Side. It's open daily from 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. What time's it open here? 4 o'clock on. So make sure you come up, and you won't see me here. Unless you come, what time is it? About 1 a.m. now, right? No, 4 a.m. So you heard my diatribe, which, you know, I'd like to get to the meat of things. And you know the owners that I knew from, and there were some really good ones.
There certainly were.
And
some people who cared about the music, who cared about what was happening.
That's what has to be first, right?
To my way of thinking, that's what's really important.
Exactly. And if you go into it to want to make money, you rather just...
Well, you know, to make money you have to spend money.
Right.
And there's certain things that you have to make the place work. Like a decent piano, for one thing.
Right.
I have a bone to pick with owners who just throw in any kind of a piece of junk with a keyboard.
Well, I remember the Corvidia Street, you always had that piano tuned. And it was always a great instrument to play.
I always had a tune every week. And when you have a lot of different people playing it, not like your piano at home, you're the only one that uses.
Right.
They play different ways and different styles, and that's hard on the piano very often.
Sure.
So when you have one in a club where a lot of people use it, it has to have more care taken of
Well, I mean,
it in order to make it work.
yeah, and you like, meaning, you have respect for piano bar as well as cabaret.
Oh, yes.
Because, I mean, they can be separate. I mean, there's places that are only piano bars. Like here, this is not a cabaret, this is just a piano bar. Always has been. Then there's places that are only cabarets.
Yes.
Like the Metropolitan Room now and 54 Below, Iridium.
Yeah, those are not places to just drop in and there'll be somebody at the piano playing. Maybe somebody getting up and singing.
What did you find harder, managing a cabaret or managing a piano bar?
Well, I never really managed just a piano bar.
So when you were at the duplex, it was only upstairs?
Right.
Okay. Well, tell us about that. Tell us about Jimmy and then how you got to become the manager, the booking manager at the duplex.
Well, he always had the upstairs room farmed out to somebody else who worked for the house on a percentage
Right.
and brought in whoever they wanted to have entertained and paid them. If there was any money left over from that, it was their money. So I was trying to do somebody else a favor, and I went in there. When somebody who had been running the room was leaving, and well, I had a following, but they were not a club following. They were I just knew an awful lot of people.
Sure.
And I went to clubs all the time. I knew people who were around that scene. And so people came. We didn't depend necessarily on the performer bringing in
Right.
the audience. Though it helped, of course.
Right, naturally, but then you could
Whatever
have
brings
walk-ins
in audience
there.
helps.
Sure.
That's what pays the bills, and it helps. But that can't, I think, be the main focus.
No.
You have to have some standards in what you present so that people come there because there's something good happening, something they'll enjoy.
Is that why Barbara Streisand doesn't like you?
We get along fine. She never was actually on my payroll.
I heard you didn't want to hire her.
Oh, I would love to have.
Back then, you were.
Yes.
The rumor was that you didn't like her, so she didn't work there.
Oh, no, that's not true. In fact, she used to come in and do guest spots
Right.
when
She was at the Lion, right?
she was at the Lion originally, and they had a contest which kept running from week to week, and finally the grand winner got booked into the Bonsoir
Right.
for I think a week's booking, because the clubs were owned by the same people. And then she parlayed that into, I don't know, many weeks. But when she didn't have an actual job, and she had by that time a manager,
Right.
not Marty Ehrlichman, who was her manager by the time she really made it, but a very nice guy who was her manager. And he managed a couple of other acts. We had managers in those days. There aren't too many of them now.
For cabaret, can you imagine?
Yeah. But
Wow.
he would say, I have an out-of-town club owner coming in. And can Barbara do a guest spot? So she'd come in and do a short set in between shows
That's cool.
to be seen by.
Right.
I wanted to book her, but he said that the Bonsoir was an A club and it would be a step backward to be on our payroll.
So even back then, they had what they considered levels of tiers of rooms. Bonsoir and Blue Angel were up there,
Yes.
and
Blue
then
Angel was the great place.
upstairs at the downstairs. Was that in?
Yeah, but they didn't do regular acts. They did reviews that were
right.
long-running things. That club. But if there was somebody who would possibly book her to work out of town, I would make time for her to do a short set and be heard by visitors.
That's cool.
And that was wonderful. And we got along great, and I was a big fan of hers. Very big fan.
Good, let us squash that rumor.
Please, please. I mean, it's so many years later that nobody's going to remember. Nobody else is still left around from those days.
What was your job originally at the duplex? Were you a bartender or?
No, I'll tell you how I became a bartender. I was there in the afternoon one day for an audition or some work that had to be done. And Jimmy DiMartino, this wonderful Italian man who owned the place, was a great cook. He had some friends drop in to see him, and he said, "Go with me to the bar and make my friends a drink." I'd never been a bartender, I didn't know how to do that, but I did. And then later I went down to Five Oaks, the original Five Oaks, owned by Bill Norman and his wife. And there was a marvelous guy named Al, we all called Uncle Al, who was the bartender. And I said, some people came in and they asked for a Rob Roy, and this is what I made, did I do it right? They drank it. So he taught me to make drinks in the 10 bar. Because Jimmy said to me, if I wanted to come in and work every day in the afternoon, I figured I could make a living at that and afford to run the upstairs.
Absolutely.
So I did. And I'd come in and open up in the afternoon, and when the real bartender came on at night, would have a couple hours off before I'd open upstairs. So I'd go home and change, or I'd go out to dinner or whatever, go down to the Five Oaks a lot of the time. Come back and run the room. It was all very informal.
Oh, sure. And all the stories you hear were, the one that sticks in my mind is the most, and that's the same story as Vegas. You talk to anybody in the performers in Vegas that were there in the 50s and 60s, even 70s, and they all miss the mob.
Yeah.
Because they said the mob, you got paid on time, and it was always quality.
And you got paid what you were promised.
Yes.
And there were, in those days, there really were no cover charges. When that came along, the acts were paid the cover charge.
Right.
And all the years that I was in the business, each act got their covers. Then the clubs began taking big chunks of the covers, and it's all very different. And we worked in those days with 3 acts on the bill. Usually a musical comedy act to open, and stand-up comedy in the middle, and a strong girl singer, once in a while a guy singer, but usually a girl singer.
One show a night or 2 shows? Or
2 shows a night. And we didn't call them cabarets.
Right, well, they were
nightclubs. I'll tell you who started calling them cabarets. And I always thought it was a mistake. Now I'm going to have trouble remembering his name, but remember, I'm very old and it's a long time ago. Kurt Davis, who was the reviewer, the nightclub reviewer for the Post. And he started calling them cabarets.
That's really where the name...
And that's when...
It went from nightclubs now mean the dance, the discos and the...
Yeah.
And those other places are nightclubs.
There also was the thing where you had a cabaret license in New York, and that was any place that served liquor and had entertainment. Otherwise, you'd have just a regular liquor license, but you have to have it.
And that was started in the 20s, right?
I think it went back that far. I wasn't around then.
Oh, no.
No. That's a little before my time.
Well, I mean, there was that trouble in the 80s we had, remember when they were enforcing?
Yeah.
When you could have no more than 2 people or 3 people on stage. And they would come in and close the club down.
Yeah.
I remember Spider was involved in one of them. That was the one group. She was in, it was Vito's Necktie was the name of the band. And it was her, another girl, a piano player, and another guy. And there was too many people on stage. They came in and to stop the show. That was a no-tone moment.
And there's no reason.
No, so
that
everybody
was the
ended
law.
up, we ended up going down to City Hall and protested.
Yeah.
They got that overturned.
Yeah. There were a lot of rules and regulations. Some of them were enforced, some of them weren't.
Was it harder to get a liquor license? No, you got your liquor license at Cornelia Street, right? You didn't have it at the duplex, that was yours.
That wasn't mine. I worked a few rooms that were not mine that I managed as if they were mine, but they weren't.
Right.
Cornelia Street was my first place that I actually owned. And I applied for a liquor license, and of course I had experience in the business. That was one of the things you were supposed to have. And I could prove where I got the money.
Right.
From my mother.
That's perfect. What was in that space before you turned it into Jan Wallman's?
Well, it was a club, a restaurant. It was Mona's Royal Roost.
That was Mona's.
That was
Okay.
Mona's. And for a while I worked for Mona as a bartender. And then later she wanted to retire and I wanted my own place. After a while I got tired of working for owners. Now she was a good owner to work for, I would say that.
Sure.
But there were people that were not.
That's what I said in the beginning. It's
that's what
just
you said.
a touch and go with some of these people.
And sometimes I had a hard time getting what I needed to run the kind of place I wanted to run. And sometimes I felt I was pretty stuck on myself, and I thought I knew more about running a place than the owners did.
Well, you probably did.
I probably did.
That's just it.
And eventually I wanted my own place.
Right.
And I said I wasn't going to work for anybody else anymore. I wasn't going to give that much of myself away. Because I had all the responsibility. I booked the acts.
And you've been doing it for a while by now,
I
right?
hired the staff. I supervised the running of everything.
And I'd like to add that it was not only a piano bar and a cabaret, which was the same room, because there was a piano bar before the shows went on Cornelia Street. But it was also a restaurant.
It was a restaurant. Food was very important
Yeah.
to me. But it wasn't really a piano bar. The house pianist played usually a set to start the show.
Right. Oh, I see what you're saying.
And accompanied some of the acts. But as just a piano room, that room was not. It was an entertainment room.
Well, then when you moved to 44th Street, you had a piano bar.
Because I had 2 rooms.
Right, right. And a restaurant again.
Yeah. I still like clubs that have restaurants.
Yeah, that matters, but like sometimes it's hard enough to open a saloon, let alone the restaurant with the music and the showroom in the back. And
Yeah, I opened my place, the whole thing. But a lot of times people open a restaurant and then they decide maybe we'll get some more business in here if we put some music in. And so they throw in some music and they...
Well, I mean, that was easier to do 30 years ago. I remember being able to walk up and down the street to look for a job back then. You wouldn't do that now.
No.
Because you never knew a restaurant had a piano in it, especially in the village. But I want to cut to a question. In your years of running a showroom, restaurant / entertainment venue, do you consider music and comedy, I want to put that in, the reason that, especially New York being such an entertainment mecca, is it the live entertainment thing is what makes Cabaret so special rather than Broadway theater even, which is live, but a fourth wall always.
Yeah. No, I think that the entertainment is what makes it.
Speaking of wall, I just remembered, Al Holbrook told me personally that when he started Mark Twain Tonight, there was no wall upstairs. It was just that hangover,
Yeah.
that overhang.
Yeah.
The duplex, and it was open, and he said when he started to do Mark Twain up there upstairs at the duplex, the noise from the bar was so loud downstairs, and he and I forget who else it was said to Jimmy, we want to build a wall here.
Yeah.
And he said, here's the keys, do it. I'm not paying for it, I'm not going to be here to do it. And they took all night to build a wall to put up there.
Hal Holbrook ran that room before I did.
Wow.
He had a girl there named Lovey Powell,
Right,
Lady Powell.
right.
And I went there as a customer. And it was a wonderful room, charming room. As I said, various people ran it at times. And what actually started me in the room is Nina Simone was a friend of mine.
Wow.
Because of the guy she was going with, whom she later married, her first husband, who is not the one she stayed with. But she came, we had dinner in the neighborhood, and I said, let's stop in this place and hear some music. And then I got them to put her on. She sat in.
But she wasn't famous yet.
Nobody'd ever heard of her. She lived in Philadelphia. But she loved the room. And the bar was only a service bar. There was no stand-up bar,
Right.
which always contributes noise.
Sure.
People at the bar are not there to see the show. Well, she just loved the place. She said, oh, what she'd give to work there. And I said, well, I'll talk to Judy, because these people who are running it now are not going to stay. They're moving on to something else. So Jimmy had said, she and I could come in and take over the place. But we both had commitments. I was in business for myself in a product promotion business, and she had an Atlantic City gig this summer, so we were going to do this in the fall. Well, by the time fall came around, a lot of things had changed. She made that first recording, that Bethlehem recording, you know, with Porgy and
Right.
Don't Smoke in Bed. It's great songs. And I was in the studio with her when she did that.
Wow.
And so she couldn't do the room. And then
That's it.
and she and Don got married, and he came to me. Well, he said, did I think he could take over that room, because he didn't have a job at that point. And I said, well, yeah. Jimmy might let you all talk to him. And Jimmy said, nah, he's too young, and he's maybe with drugs. Which wasn't true. But if I came in with him.
Right.
So we opened the room. Charlie Cochran, tell you the story, he was around in those days.
Right.
He was with me when we first opened the place. In about 3 weeks, I'd spent almost all the money I had squirreled away
Oh, no.
trying to get this place going.
Sure.
Don gave up, and he said his analyst was going to be down in Atlantic City for the rest of the year, and he was going down there. But I was stuck. I was hung up on the place. I wanted to continue, so I did.
Well, back then, though, it was easier to get publicity.
Oh, yeah.
You were written about in all the papers.
Yeah.
It would all come to, you know, you had the gossip columns coming to the cabarets and the
Yes.
nightclubs, rather. And
And the other club bookers would come in to pick up acts,
Sure.
things. People were looking for entertainment in those days. These days, the entertainment is looking for jobs more than the jobs are looking for them.
exactly, it's changed a great deal.
Oh, the whole business has changed so dramatically, so completely.
But it's still nice to know that there's people that want to open cabarets and clubs with that as the main idea. I mean, like I said, making money is necessary.
Yeah.
But there's a few out there.
That know that the public needs and wants
Yeah.
these things.
So before we leave, can you give any words of advice for cabaret goers, for cabaret performers, and for cabaret owners?
Well, you know, and the world's foremost authority.
Well, let's hear it. You've been all three.
You know, I've guided a few people since, you know, I retired a few years ago. I still keep my hand in books, mags, and clubs. But I think if somebody really wants to be in this world, they can do it. If you do it just to make money, that is not enough. There are plenty of ways you can make money faster.
Even performers.
Yeah, I suppose. But the performers that I know, the real performers, they want to perform. You could offer them 10 times as much money to stand behind a desk or something. They don't want to do that.
Absolutely.
They want to perform. They've got something to give and they want to give it. Because that's the way they get.
Right.
And that's the way it works.
And what about for cabaret goers?
If you like that kind of thing, seek out the little places, the ones that are starting, the new ones. Go. Go see the big stars, sure. Go see the people that are coming up.
Yeah, you were always a good advocate for the up-and-comers, so to speak.
Well, that's what I always worked with. For one thing, I always had small places where you couldn't hire names. You could hire somebody that you think could be a name, you could become a name, and many of them did. But if your main objective is making money, it's not the way to go.
So that's the word of today.
Still.
I guess that's it. But thank you, and Jan, thanks for being here.
Thank you.